The thunder of artillery shattered the dawn on March 21, 1918, as the German Empire unleashed one of the most ferocious offensives of World War I. Known as the Spring Offensive or Kaiserschlacht, Kaiser's Battle, this was Germany's final, desperate gamble to win the war before American troops arrived in full force. The skies were choked with gas and smoke, trenches splintered under relentless fire, and stormtroopers surged through the fog like shadows. The Western Front, locked in deadly stalemate for years, suddenly erupted into a whirlwind of chaos, breakthrough, and bloodshed. Welcome to History in a Hurry. I'm Eli Stone, and in this episode, we will learn about the Spring Offensive during World War I. The Spring Offensive was Germany's last major attempt to break the deadlock on the Western Front in World War I. After nearly 4 years of brutal trench warfare, Germany recognized that it was running out of time. The Russian Empire had withdrawn from the war following the Bolshevik Revolution, freeing up over 50 divisions of German troops. Meanwhile, the United States had entered the war in 1917, and its fresh troops were arriving in increasing numbers. German commanders knew that if they didn't act swiftly, they would soon be outnumbered and overwhelmed. The offensive, led by General Erich Ludendorff, consisted of a series of attacks launched between March and July 1918. These were codenamed Michael, Georgette, Gneisenau, and Blücher York. The first and most significant was Operation Michael, which struck the British Fifth Army near the Somme River. Using new infiltration tactics pioneered by elite stormtroopers, who bypassed strongpoints and aimed to penetrate deep into enemy lines, Germany made rapid and alarming gains in the opening days. Operation Michael shocked the Allies. German forces advanced as much as 40 miles, the deepest movement on the Western Front since 1914. British and French troops, unprepared for the speed and ferocity of the attack, were forced to retreat. Paris itself came under threat as German artillery began shelling the city from 70 miles away using massive long-range guns. Morale wavered, and it seemed, for a time, that Germany might actually win the war. However, the offensive was not without its flaws. The German advance was so fast that supply lines couldn't keep up. Troops became exhausted and disorganized, and instead of pressing forward with discipline, many paused to loot Allied supply depots. The Germans had also failed to establish clear strategic objectives beyond simply breaking through the front, which meant that once the initial shock wore off, they lacked direction. The second phase, Operation Georgette, launched in April in Flanders, targeted British positions around Ypres. Although it also gained ground, it didn't lead to a decisive breakthrough. Subsequent offensives, including Operation Blücher York in May and Operation Gneisenau in June, aimed to divert Allied forces and renew momentum, but each failed to deliver a conclusive blow. As the months passed, German casualties mounted and exhaustion set in. By July 1918, the Spring Offensive had ground to a halt. Though it had yielded territorial gains, it had not broken Allied lines or forced a surrender. Meanwhile, the Allies, now bolstered by over 1 million fresh American troops, launched a powerful counteroffensive, beginning with the Second Battle of the Marne. Germany, drained of manpower, supplies, and morale, could no longer sustain its momentum. The consequences of the Spring Offensive were profound. Though it was a bold and initially successful strategy, it ultimately hastened Germany's defeat. The massive losses, nearly 700,000 men, crippled the German army. The failure also shattered morale at home, weakening support for the war and intensifying political unrest. Within months, the Allies would launch the 100 Days Offensive, rolling back German gains and pushing the Central Powers toward collapse. In retrospect, the Spring Offensive represents both the height and the unraveling of German military might in World War I. It was a testament to tactical innovation and raw aggression, yet it was undermined by overreach, lack of coordination, and the resilience of the Allied response. Though the thunder of its opening barrage may have signaled a possible German victory, it ultimately became the death knell of Imperial Germany's ambitions. Thanks for racing through history with us on History in a Hurry. If you enjoyed today's quick dive into the past, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss a fast-paced trip through time. Please reply in the comments with ideas for our next history lesson. See you in the next one.